Hello, everybody. Good day. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Paulo Balbino. Today we will be covering an interesting topic, the Bacnet. Let's start with the agenda. We will start with an introduction on the Bacnet, and then we will talk a little bit about the protocol and then show you our solutions in the Bacnet scenario, showing a live demonstration on how to use the driver, and then show a roadmap of the new features that will be added to the driver. Okay, so let's start the introduction. First of all, the presenter. I'm Paulo Balbino. My name is Paulo Balbino. I'm computer engineer. I have been working for InduSoft for 5 years. I'm senior driver developer and also manager of the driver team. I got involved on the development of the following drivers: the Bacnet, the Eaton, the Schneider driver, ABC IP drivers, and many others. Okay, so to start, let's give a quick review about the Bacnet protocol. Okay, so Bacnet is a short for Building Automation Control Network. It's a data communication protocol for building automation and control networks. Bacnet is both an international ISO and ANSI standard for interoperability between cooperating building automation devices. Bacnet is a standard data communication protocol that enables interoperability between different building systems and devices in building automation and control applications. It is flexible, robust, and also scalable. Some possible applications for the Bacnet. Just an overview. The Bacnet include but is not limited to HVAC. That is the first thing that you can think when you just think Bacnet. But you can use the Bacnet for other things like laboratory, CCTV, fire, life safety, access control, vertical transport, security, lighting, and many other applications. So a little bit about the protocol. The Bacnet packet is composed by 3 layers in case of Bacnet IP. It is composed by the APDU, where information that represents read, write, the object, the instance, and the properties are. The other one is the NPDU that contains information related to the station. And the other one is BVLL that indicates that the packet is a Bacnet IP message type. Okay, and all these 3 inside the UDP layer. Okay, Bacnet IP is based on UDP. Okay, so now a great thing about Bacnet that's different from the standard protocol, industrial protocols. The Bacnet is based on objects. All information is modeled in terms of one or more information objects. Each object represents some important component of the device, some collection of information that may be interest to other Bacnet devices. Objects represent either physical or virtual information, such as analog and binary inputs, outputs, control algorithms, specific applications and calculations. This is an example of some objects. So each device is composed by a lot of objects, and inside each object we have a lot of properties. Okay, so each object has a collection of properties based on the function and purpose of the object. So here I have an example, right? Imagine a sensor. In the sensor, I can have a object analog input, and with 3, for example. In fact, analog input has a lot of properties, but 3 of them describing the temperature. So, description: run 1 temperature. The present value is the actual value of temperature. and status flags indicating how the analog input is operating, how the sensor is operating. This is depends on the device, right? In this case, normal in service. And one thing that it's good to say is that each device can implement some of the objects, not all of them. So that's a good thing, because you can have a device, a small device, that is cheap. Why? Because it implements only just few objects. For example, a sensor, a temperature sensor, just have to implement some of them. Just represent the temperature, the status of the sensor, and things like that. Another thing that is interesting on the Bacnet protocol is that it has a lot of services, objects, access, for example, read, write, create, delete. You can create objects inside the Bacnet. The device management, like discover, time synchronization, initialize, backup, restore database. We'll talk a little bit more about the discover. That is one of the greatest services that Bacnet has. Alarm and event, file transfer, and virtual terminal. One of the great services that is available on the Bacnet is the Ruiz IAM service. This is a discoverability service. This service is used to discover the device on the network. For example, a Ruiz message is sent to the broadcast, and then the device sent an IAM including information like device ID, network number, and IP. But we will talk more about this later. Okay. And now about the link layer types. The Bacnet protocol defines 7 network types that transport the Bacnet message. The most important ones and most used ones are the Bacnet IP, the MSTP, and the Ethernet. Okay. The other ones are the ArtNet, the point-to-point, the Long Talk, the Zigbee. But keep in mind, Bacnet IP is the best one if you have to choose. And the most used one, because it's cheap, is the MSTP. And now let's talk about our product, the Bacnet driver. So now initially a question. So why to choose the Bacnet solution? If you need to penetrate into the building automation business, the InduSoft Bacnet solution is the right tool for you. The driver is available for free when using the InduSoft Web Studio. No extra license is required. Run on extremely low-cost HMI. The performance is really excellent. It's designed to run on a lot of platforms, as you can see there. The support is free, and we have another driver. In fact, there is 2 drivers, a master one and a slave. Okay, so there is a slave driver too. So, and the other advantage of the Bacnet is that you can use it as a gateway, low-cost gateway, between, for example, Modbus and Bacnet network. Using Bacnet driver and Modbus driver, or any of our drivers, you can also expose your data as Bacnet using the Bacnet solution. You can also use the Bacnet driver to get data and store this data in some relational database using the InduSoft. So, talking about our drivers, we have a master driver, we have a slave driver. The master driver, we support Bacnet IP, and the slave one, the Bacnet IP and the MSTP. Okay, so what's the difference? The master ones is the software that communicates with the devices, and the slave driver is like a device. Okay, and so we have both sides. So, for example, like I said, if you want to implement a gateway, a low-cost gateway, you can put, for example, the Modbus and the Bacnet. The Modbus read the data and put the data on the Bacnet cell. And then you can, with other softwares, read the Bacnet cell as if it is a gateway. Okay, and you can also use the standard Bacnet, using it to read the devices, right? So this is just some of the possibilities that you can imagine for using the Bacnet and the Bacnet cell. A good feature that we added recently was the support for multiple network interfaces. So if you have a lot of different networks, this is common in building automation, you can use the Bacnet for a lot of different network cards. Talking about a little bit about the station, on the InduSoft, you specify the device as a station, and you have a format for this station. And how to specify the station? We have two different formats. We recommend you to use the first one. You need to have at least two information of the device: the network and the device ID. The format is network, device. So, and this information you in general get from the device. You get the data sheet from the device, right? Or you can, you in general have a way to access the device by web and set these configurations, or access that information using some software, configuration software. Okay, and this is a standard for the Bacnet. Okay, so now let's give you an example to show you how flexible it is and why you should use our driver. Here I'm showing a simple network with 3 Bacnet devices, a simple Ethernet router, and then InduSoft with the Bacnet driver. Let's assume the device 1 with the device ID 1 is inside the network 8, and device 2 and 3 are inside the network 4. Based on this case, how can you configure the station on the Bacnet? For example, you want to communicate with the device 3 of network 4. So you put on the station of the driver 4:3. And then what will happen when you run the driver? When the first read occurs, the driver will send a whois to the broadcast, asking for device 3, network 4. And you can see that not only this guy will receive the message, but all the other guys will receive the message. It's a broadcast message. And then just the device 3 will send the response, right? And what's the information on this response? This is important. The information is, again, the network, the device ID, and also the IP address. So this is a good thing, because what you can do, you can unplug your device from a router and put it in other router. Okay, and it's not dependent on, it's not static. Okay, it doesn't matter in which router you put, and which what will be your IP address, because the driver, the InduSoft driver, will be able to identify your IP address. Okay, so you have a lot of flexibility when building your network. Okay, so now let's do a live demonstration, quick demonstration, to show you some things of how to operate the driver. Okay, so let's talk initially on how you can configure. Basically, this is a basic project. If you click here on Add and Remove Drivers, you can see that we have the entire list of drivers. You can select the Bacnet driver here, and then you can add a main driver sheet, put a tag name, put the station that we just talked, right? And then put the address. The address is really simple. If you understand the basics of the Bacnet, for example, analog input AI, and then the instance 0, and then the property present value, right? And then you just save and run the driver, and then you can see that it's communicating. So it's easy to communicate. And if you have any questions or problems related to how can I specify an I know address or how can I specify a station, it's simple. You just go to the help file. On the help file, you can see, for example, here I can see a binary output object with all the properties described, all the data types that you can put. I saw a question here. I will, after the meeting, try to answer all the questions, okay? But thank you for sending. You can feel free to send questions, okay? So this is the object. We can see all of them here, okay? Analog input, analog output, the binary, the multi-state, the scheduler. So let me just show you a better sample application with an interface here. In fact, you can request for us this sample application. We can send to all of you, okay? Because it basically has all the objects that we support, and we support all of them, okay? So, for example, reading the analog input, you can put a different value here and click on write trigger. You can write to the device. So you can see that we have all the data types, all the objects, and all the properties here. Okay, so you can see that some of the properties are easy, like object type. It is an integer value. A present value can be integer, can be real, but you can see that there are some that are a little bit more complex, like, for example, effective period or weekly schedule, or the worst one is the exception scheduler, right? In fact, you can see these guys too on the documentation. It has all the formats. Okay, for example, let me show you for a scheduler object. You have here that a weekly schedule is a string. But if you go down, or just try to find here, the schedule object, you can see that we have effective period with a description that, for example, in this case, start date, end date, and one more complex, that is the weekly schedule, right? Time instance, the time, the value. So it's describing here not only how to do that, but what the usage, for what you can use that, okay? And you can see that you can specify also on the main driver sheet and also on the standard driver sheet, just to make sure you understand the difference, right? If you put on the main driver sheet, internally the driver will split this in a lot of blocks and will read it, okay? And if you put this on the standard driver sheet, you have more control over it, right? You can use the trigger, the read trigger, write trigger, to be able to read or write when you want, okay? This is like a standard for the InduSoft. Okay, now a quick roadmap. What will be the enhancements, the future enhancements on the Bacnet? The next enhancement that we are planning to do is the browse feature. In fact, this is probably the answer for one of the questions that I received here. Can you auto-discover Bacnet points on the network? Bacnet points, I understand to be objects, properties, and the values, right? So the browser feature that we are planning and implementing will have this feature. You'll be able to open a window, and this window will search in your network. Remember that I talked about the whois, the IAM. These will be used inside the browser feature and will be sent to the network. We will receive objects, inside the objects receive the device, and inside the device the object and the properties. And you will be able to see all of them. You'll be able to select each of them, hit OK, and it will automatically complete the station field on the main driver sheet, right? On the standard driver sheet. But and there is another feature that is the Bacnet tag integration. That with the tag integration, you'll be able to it uses part of the browse feature, but it's more complex. It will you will be able to initially search for the devices, right? And then you will be able to select, for example, I want an analog input and binary input from the device 3 and network 5, and it will automatically take all of create the tag for you for each one, and will read automatically. Okay, so you will not spend time configuring driver sheets. From the other meetings that I did, I had some questions. The question was related to the certification, right? This is other thing that it's good to say. I received some questions on the last webinar regarding the certification of the Bacnet driver. We are planning to start the certification process as soon as we finish the browse and the tag integration feature, okay? And another question here from Dave Hill. When will that feature be available? We are planning to implement these features, and probably they will be finished at the end of this year. Okay, and related to the certification, as soon as we finish this, we will be able to start the certification process. Okay, and if you have anything that you any question, feel free to ask me, okay, by mail, or ask me now. One question: what's the difference between the master driver and the slave driver? So let's go to the sample application here. First of all, in terms of concept, the master driver is the client, and the master will communicate to a device, right? And when we are talking about the slave is the device. Okay, so and why we have that? We have that because when you will be able to create a gateway with that, and that is really good when you're talking about a building automation network, right? HVAC network. If you have some sensors that talks Modbus, and you have an entire Bacnet network, you can connect them using the InduSoft, right? Using, like I said, using the Modbus communicating to one of the sensors, and using the backup cell, right, to the other part. So you can share data. Okay, and just how to put that here. Just click, for example, let me add the Bacnet, and let me add the backup cell, right? Put the backup cell here. Just little things about how to communicate this. You don't have to fill the station, because it does not make sense to put a station here. The station is one. It's the same as a device. A device has a network and a device ID. So it's the same thing. Open the settings of the backup cell, go to advanced, and here you have a station, a general station, right? So you can put here, for example, this network 20 and device ID 3. Okay, so and then this is an important concept. Each driver sheet will be an object. So you for example, can put here analog input, and then put here, for example, test tag, and here analog input 0 present value, right? So if I save this, if I take a software, a browser software from any Bacnet browser software, I can when I browse, I can see the device, the Indus of the Bacnet cell as a device with the object, with the property. Okay, so in this way you can share data. Okay, guys, so thank you very much for attending this webinar. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, okay? Don't hesitate to ask me, okay? I can help you. Thank you very much.